Blessings, divine friends, and thank you for being here today. I'm in the backcountry of Bella Coola, BC, by the river. Maybe you might see some salmon splashing in the background. They were just a minute ago. So in today's video, we are going to discuss today, what does it all come down to? What are the effects of the negative ego? Okay, firstly, the negative ego will destroy you. Secondly, the negative ego is not your friend. Your ego and your positive ego is your friend, but your negative ego is not your friend. Thirdly, negative ego is dumb, but can be smarter than you, and you cannot bargain with it. You can't. Fourthly, the negative ego doesn't really go away. You can only contract it. Okay, so firstly, a negative ego destroys you. You know its singular intent. Amongst its various intentions is to destroy you. So I'd like to suggest very bluntly, okay, and very simply, that a negative ego destroys you. So if that is not enough of a reason to get off it and stop doing it, then we don't know what can be done about it then. So negative ego is crafty, okay? I never said it's smart. A negative ego is weak. I never said it's strong. But it seems strong and smart, you see. Not because it is, but because singular intent is strong. Singular will is strong. And even though negative ego is weak, it seems strong, not because of it, but because of singular intent and singular will. Is it powerful? You also know that negative ego can destroy you in minutes what has taken you years to build, even with relationships, right? Or job, right? That one indiscretion, that one infidelity, that one lie, not any indiscretion, not any infidelity, not any lie, but among the potential shuts that one infidelity, one indiscretion, one lie that can crush intimacy and shatter trust, and therefore no matter how much love you feel, without the intimacy, without the trust, sometimes it can't be put back together again. So in that one indiscretion, in one infidelity, one lie crushes that intimacy, that trust. Ego can destroy what has taken you years and lifetimes to build. So in that one manipulation, that one delusion, that blows up in your face, in that one manipulation, in that one delusion that either singularly or repeatedly sabotages you and hurts those you care about. Not any manipulation, not any delusion, but there is that one can blow up in your face that can once or over and over again sabotage you and hurt those you care about. Which is the one you don't know? The negative ego doesn't know, but you know. You know the negative ego can destroy what has taken you so long to build. Now your ego doesn't believe that. Nah, don't listen to him. I can't destroy you. He's lying. You're stronger than that. Your negative ego isn't that big, etc. Those kinds of messages, those kinds of statements are probably being heard right now in your head and in your ear. You know this already. You don't have to listen to him or this. This is nonsense. You need me, as the ego says. We got a handle. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen to you. You're special. You're better than everybody else. That's your ego speaking right now. So the first thing is your ego destroys you, period. And simply that. You know that one thing it can destroy is you. Your ego can't really destroy anybody else. It can do a lot of damage. It can hurt a lot of people. It can leave a lot of destroyed feelings and emotions in its wake, but it can't destroy anything but you. And it does eat you out from the inside. Firstly, your brain. And like those little enzymes, it's a Pac-Man. It doesn't Pac-Man gobble, gobble, gobble. Your ego is an eternal Pac-Man. Now that, I can relate to that, okay? I want you to relate to that kind of version. But it does eat away at you. Not like the x-rays would show anything like, chunks missing. But it does eat away your brain. And then the rest of your body. Your consciousness, your joy, your love. It destroys you. It feeds on you and it destroys you. Keeps you in loose energy. We would suggest here that your negative ego is not your friend. But your positive ego is. You might say, well, my ego's got me this far. No. No, it hasn't. You have gone this far despite your ego. Not because of it. Ego says, don't listen to him. It's because of me. You're this far. And he's lying. He's lying. That point is a very important one to understand. The first is the ego destroys you, literally destroying your reality and destroying you, divine ones. Maybe it hasn't done so yet, right? But you're not done with this reality or this life yet, are you? But you will in time. Indeed, as you look around at other people, who are watching this maybe. Maybe you're looking to awaken people. It doesn't have to be awakened people. It can be any person. You can see what ego has done to them. Their ego has destroyed their life. You see them lost in their delusions, lost in their self-pity, lost in their fear, lost in this total mist of their sadness, and then they're stuck. And it's hard to be around those type of people. You find yourself tolerating when you have to, but you definitely don't want to be around them. Ego's singular intent amongst its various intentions is to destroy you. Its singular will amongst its variety of acts of will is to destroy you, even though its potential success means its own demise. The second point is your negative ego is not your friend. It cares least about you, has nothing but contempt for you. You are expendable upon to its particular vision. It cares least about you. In a sense, it's not your friend, it's your enemy. So many of you look over your life so far and you realize, that I'm holding maybe a better than because maybe I'm more intelligent than other people or more spiritual than other people. Maybe you've clung to this the last 5 years. That has made me get through. My ego's been a lifesaver. No, it hasn't. It's because of your consciousness that has fought it, even though you're not willing to, see that. But your consciousness has got you this far. That's your ego. Your ego has not helped you. Helped you one bit. It hasn't helped you once. Now, as you think about it, think about those times you were sure your ego helped you in a pinch. When you look at them more closely, you're going to realize the ego didn't help you out at all. When you really, honestly look at it in retrospect, it is the ego that almost did you in. And it was you, by the grace of whatever in you, that happened to pull you through. Many of you believe that you're a character, struggling character. You have the struggle and the victims, etc. That somehow my victim got me through it. My self-pity got me through it. Or my struggling part, my martyr, my blamer, part of me got me through it. So many people play self-pity to get their way. The fact that I am a competitive person has got me where I am today. Oh yeah? We would suggest perhaps the very mundane, ego-oriented world, perhaps, but not in your growth, not in your awareness of reality, not in your expansion of consciousness, etc. Who never helped you on big? Ego didn't. It is your enemy, and it will destroy you. It is a matter of time. It has all the time of your life to get you. Your ego is not in a hurry either. We would suggest here that those 2 points are the fact that your negative ego is your enemy from your negative ego does destroy you. And perhaps the most important to realize. The third point about negative ego is to realize that it is dumb but craftier than you. You must unplug the ego. You cannot bargain with it. Okay, so the ego is craftier than you. You can never negotiate with it. You can never work with it and reason with it. It is like a devil and sneaky and conniving in its whole nature, and you cannot bargain with it. Okay, the ego, the negative ego, being craftier than you, attempts to destroy you. The ego wants to destroy the very thing in its way, you. Do you think a creation can destroy its creator? Does the ego have the ability to kill or destroy you after you create it? Okay, some great analogies are the movie Space Odyssey 2001 and HAL 9000 computer robot, or Frankenstein, a scientist creates a monster to serve mankind, which instead had a hatred of mankind for not accepting them, right? Or accepting him, and then turned on the creator. Well, these are, non-human in their central characters and are great expressions of the ego. One cannot bargain with that. It would have to be unplugged. And it destroyed those that stood in the way of its existence. But its existence was meaningless without those that it was existing for. The double paradox there. Okay, so the computer, Frankenstein, maybe a golem even, existed to function to serve mankind, and its own existence destroyed the very things it was serving. Right? That which is created destroys its creator. I won't add anything more to that. If that makes sense to you, think about it. If it doesn't, anyways, think about it. Spend time watching the movie or the movies to see what I mean. But we would suggest very clearly the way you deal with ego is to unplug it. You cannot bargain. You cannot rationalize. You cannot convince it, etc. You must simply unplug it, either by releasing or by transforming it. But it must be unplugged in order to function, in order to get on top of it, or in order to deal with it. So it is craftier than you. It is much more craftier than you because it knows where it can strike next, and you are not sure. It is subtle. It is overt. We would suggest here it never goes away. Even when you unplug it, it never quite goes away. So the fourth point, which is very important to understand about the ego, is many of you fall into a weird position of thinking I handled that. Or, once I get it handled, then it will be done. We can not only not promise you that, but we can also promise you you will have to deal with ego again. We would suggest here that you approach it on the basis of, I'm going to handle this ego once and for all. I hate it. I can't stand it. I want it to be done with it. Or I'm going to take a week, or a month, or a year off work, and I'm going to get a handle on my ego once and for all. You are coming from fear, and you are making a fear choice. The reason the ego is dumb, but smarter than you, is that you're coming from fear, and it's not. It doesn't know fear. It doesn't have feelings or emotions. If you can imagine, if you're dealing with some sort of adversary, if you are strong and confident in who and what you are, and they are frightened, you can see that you have the edge. Even though they may be technically stronger, you have the edge of they're coming from fear and you're not. So if you go at it with an intention of handling it once and for all, the only reason you would want to handle it once and for all will be because you're afraid of it. No, 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 no. It just means I have better things to do with my life. Defensiveness. No, I'm not afraid of it. I am this efficient type, you see. Defensive, or whatever. Defensive. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing, right? And they'll do it, right? The first time. Perfection. No. You will never deal with your ego in that sense, the state of being into mind. It's to be dealt with throughout your life. Your ego is constantly there. Nothing is created or destroyed with energy. Things only expand or contract like ego. So we would suggest here what you do with unplugging the ego in the form of releasing it is to contract it rather than ever allowing it to expand with explosive qualities, to unroll it and releases it right out of you. You contract it, but it's still there. And every so often, it's going to breathe. And you will need to catch it, handle it, and put it in its place. So after all the healing, ego is still there. You will need to handle your ego for the rest of your life. Every so often, ego is going to breathe, and you will need to catch it, handle it, and you will need to put it in its place. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They think once I handle my negative ego, it's gone. It's not the case. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that way. Keep ego in its place is a life lesson. Although, once handled, it's easier to handle the next time. And once handled, the second time it's easier, the third time, or the fourth time, and the sixth, until you get to such a point that you are handling your ego so quickly and so fastly and so smoothly that you don't even know it's there. But it still is. And you're aware that it could be potentially come up. Again, if you stop handling it, it can grow once again. Now, one can retard that growth so that if you don't handle it, it won't bang be there as strong as ever. You can retard that growth. But we would suggest here to do so involves replacing it with a positive ego. But understanding those 4 points about your ego is crucial. So firstly, negative ego will destroy you. Secondly, the negative ego is not your friend. Your positive ego is your friend, but not your negative. Thirdly, the negative ego is dumb, but can be smarter than you, and you cannot bargain with it. Fourthly, the negative ego doesn't really go away. You can only contract it. Therefore, be willing to handle it for the rest of your life, knowing each time you handle it becomes easier and easier to do so. Each time you handle it becomes less and less of a problem, to the point that it's a piece of sand rather than a boulder that you step over without noticing it very much. But you don't want to forget it's there. So as you work with it in that capacity, during these videos, or my write-ups, or my teachings, or during your own discovery, during private sessions, and think about it in these terms, and it will work very nicely. Thank you for listening to today. Blessings, divine words, and light. This is Chris Pryor, Syrian Lemurian Wisdoms and Teachings.